Hello, my dears. Welcome back to Let It Cook cooking channel. Today, we're making an absolute French classic, Boeuf Bourguignon. For this, we need pepper, red wine, broth, beef brisket, mushrooms, and tomato paste. That's clarified butter, bacon, a bit of flour, carrot, celery, pearl onions, thyme, bay leaf, a bit of garlic cloves, and I'm also making some salted potatoes to go with it. First, I cut the beef brisket into small pieces. I got a really nice piece yesterday. Let's cut it up. Yes. Bite-sized cubes, I'd say. Just small pieces, a bit smaller than for goulash, roughly. If it gets really thick at the back, you can cut it into two pieces there as well. Yeah, about like that, so that it's cut as evenly as possible. That's why I also like to buy it as a whole piece. We have a great Let It Cook cooking channel knife. Check the link above. Okay, I'll put that into a bowl now. Then I'll add the bay leaf right away, the 2 cloves of garlic. Just lay the knife on top and give it a little smash. Keep the blade facing down to avoid injury. Add it to the meat. So then add the thyme, just a few sprigs. Now I'll quickly peel the carrot and celery. And do that. I'm not doing much with that now. I think it's really great when the dish is pretty meat heavy, flavor-wise. It must have a rich, dark red wine sauce. Yeah, and I don't really want a lot of vegetables in there. I actually just want them for a bit of flavor. Okay, and now I'm just going to cut the carrot crosswise so that the pieces are a bit uneven. Yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. Then just try a different way of cutting. Homemade, so carrot with it. A bit of celery, just. Let's also cut it into some more creative pieces, I'd say. Exactly. We'll remove the smallest ones. That's it. And now pour the red wine over it. Obviously, French red wine pairs perfectly with Boeuf Bourguignon. Now we'll soak it all nicely. Cover everything perfectly with foil, then refrigerate for 24 hours. I don't have time today, so I'll let it sit for an hour and then fry it. Here's the tip: if making it at home, prepare it ahead if you have time. Put it in the fridge overnight, and it'll become even more tender and much tastier. Let's continue with the preparation. First we peel, or rather I cut the bacon. Here I just have a piece of smoked pork belly, and I'm cutting off the rind. So there are I've seen 2 different versions. With Boeuf Bourguignon, very often the bacon and mushrooms are just used as decoration on top. But I actually never saw that in France. In France, they cook it together so that it becomes a nice creamy sauce. That's why I'm going to cut the bacon into small pieces now. Of course, you can add the mushrooms a little later. I mean, the champignons, but you don't have to. Okay, wonderful. Then I'll quickly peel the onions. These are small shallots. Yeah, and that's actually wrong for this recipe. Traditionally, pearl onions belong in this dish, but I'll tell you one thing. I went to 5 stores yesterday and I couldn't find pearl onions anywhere here in Munich, unfortunately. That's why I'm working with these small shallots now. They're a pain to peel, but you don't have to watch me do it. It takes ages. Try to peel them as thinly as you can. There weren't quite enough shallots for me, so I'm adding a regular onion as well. It'll pretty much cook down anyway. I just think it's awesome in braised dishes when there's plenty of onion in there. I don't need many vegetables, as you saw, but I always need plenty of onion for flavor. Now cut them even finer, since we don't want them visible in the dish, so I'm making them pretty fine. They'll just sizzle away for us. Okay, now the mushrooms. If they're as big as these, you can also cut them into 6 pieces. Just slice them twice like this, yeah, into little pieces. I also wanted smaller ones, but these were all that remained since you can just cut the smaller ones in half. I think it looks nicer that way later, yeah. Okay, always cut the stem a little bit. If they're a bit dirty on the outside, just wipe them off with a cloth. Yeah, always avoid water with mushrooms unless it's absolutely necessary. Of course, if you have chanterelles or something like that, you can wash off a bit of the dirt, but use very, very little water because mushrooms act like a sponge. Okay, my dears, unfortunately the camera was talking right when I was cutting out the meat, as we chefs call it. We just took it out of the marinade and let it drain a bit on a paper towel so it doesn't splatter so much when frying. Yes, you can see the meat and the carrots here. They've been marinating for about an hour now. Of course, that's not enough, but we have to. Let's keep going. We need to finish a few recipes today at home, marinate it longer for even better results. Now we'll add some clarified butter. We'll let it get hot. We'll sear the meat in 2 batches for a good crust and rich roasted flavors. That's why we don't put everything in at once. Now add half of the meat. In a moment. It's important to season it very well. Yes, if you don't add any spices now, the meat just won't taste as good in the end. Yes, it will have a good sauce around it, but you also want the salt, the salty flavor inside the meat. That's why it's important when searing. And now just sear it on all sides until it's golden brown and has a nice color. Then repeat the same with the second one. Now take out the first half of the meat and add a bit more clarified butter. You can see me and my induction stove, it's already gotten a bit too dark again, but it's better to sear it at a higher heat, yeah? And now we add the second piece of meat. Yep. And of course, season it right away as well. I'm still holding these shallots. If you have pearl onions, you won't need to do this since they're smaller. Yeah, but this is just a bit too big for me. While the meat is marinating. Now I'm adding the carrots and the celery. Next, add the chopped onions. I want to let them get nicely browned, as I said before, until they're nearly gone. I'm already looking forward to it and want to be honest with you. The last time I cooked this dish, it was still the 1900s, not the 2000s yet. That was during my apprenticeship, but I remember it again now. I totally forgot about it, completely lost track of the dish, even though it's actually something really delicious. It's really awesome. And that's how it is. Nice and dark and strong. Then it tastes really fine. Yeah. Once that's nicely seared, we can go ahead and serve it. The bell is outside, you already know. Just go ahead and press the bell down there. Then you'll be notified when we upload a new video. Now I'm rinsing it, giving it a quick swirl. Why am I swirling it? There are little pieces of onion in there. If they get completely burnt, it won't taste so good later. That would make it bitter. Just add some water. Just make sure the onion pieces are removed. It doesn't need to be spotless, that's fine. Add a bit of fat and now add the bacon. And the onions, you can do that at the same time. Yeah, they need about the same cooking time. If you'd like to make clarified butter, here's a video on it. Take a look, my dears. Today it's insanely hot and our cameras are acting up a bit. Unfortunately, it turned itself off again for a bit, as we just noticed. That's why you're missing a small part. As you can see, everything is already assembled. Let it fry well now. And now we add the tomato paste. Let it saute briefly until it gets really nice and dark. Until next time, the only thing that's not in yet are the mushrooms. In theory, you could also saute the onions later if you want them to stay a bit whole on your plate, but I really like it when everything is soaked up with sauce. I've now preheated the oven to 160 degrees Celsius with convection. I'll cook it in the oven later, that way you don't have to stress about it. You can just as easily do this in a pot, put the lid on and put it in the oven. About an hour, then the mushrooms go in, another 20 minutes, and then the whole sauce is done. Browning the meat is a bit annoying, but the rest of the dish pretty much cooks itself. Now you can see we've got a nice sear on it. And now you take some flour and dust it over the top. And just let it fry along with everything else. That will give us the wonderful consistency in the dish later, and we want to have a really nice creamy dish. And when it starts to stick to the bottom like that, then we can start pouring in the wine. First, a splash. Let it simmer briefly, so that the sediment dissolves nicely at the bottom. You can already see how creamy it's getting thanks to the flour. We can add the remaining red wine. And now we add enough broth so that everything is just covered, just a little splash more, like this. Exactly, that's how it should look. A really strong color, a really good flavor. Now let's add the spices. And now, once it has come to a boil, put the lid on, don't set it for just an hour or you'll forget it, and then put it in the oven. The meat's been in the oven for half an hour. Now I'm going to saute the mushrooms. And go ahead and start the salted potatoes for later. Yes, they can cook now. You can make whatever you want to go with them. Mashed potatoes are classic. I like them salted, but do what you want. There are mashed potatoes here, and you can make something fancy that's delicious. Your guests will love it. We can also season the mushrooms a bit with salt and pepper. A bit of salt for the boiled potatoes, of course. Okay, when they're nicely golden brown, we'll just put them on a plate for a moment. Put them aside, wait until the meat is ready, put everything together, season to taste, and then we can plate it. I'll show you how it looks in an hour. I haven't done anything to it. Great, see how beautiful the consistency is already. First, we'll remove the things we don't want in there, like the herbs. And if you find them, the garlic too. Some people love garlic cloves, so you can leave them in. Now, it's actually still a little bit too thick, but that's not a problem at all because with the mushrooms, we still have a bit of water in there. If we add that now, then the mushrooms will turn out wonderfully for us. The sauce will thin out just the little bit we need. Then I'm not really sure, but I could jump right in. Already now? So now I'll try the sauce to see if there's enough salt and pepper, maybe herbs. Great. Really? I don't need to add any more seasoning. It's all included. If you season the meat and other ingredients well, nothing else is needed. And now we can plate it up. Preheated plate. Careful, it's hot. And then you put a good portion on there. And a little more on top, and then handle the rest and check that. Now, as I said before, I made parsley potatoes with it, or some boiled potatoes. We can add 2 more potatoes now. Place nicely. There. Now we can sprinkle a bit of parsley on top. Feel free to chop it roughly, so you can still taste it. Place 2 small bunches in the center for the photo, then sprinkle some pepper on top. If that doesn't look amazing, I don't know what does. So friends, I just ask you to leave a like and a comment below. It really helps the videos. For you, it's just a second of work. Do me a favor, try to do that a bit more interaction. Maybe then we'll get a bit more exposure in the algorithm again, and now I'll give it a try for you. But since I already know how it tastes anyway, I'm not worried about it at all. The meat is as tender as butter. Fantastic. Wow. Mm, mm. Sorry, I wish I could let you try it. But is it really a simple dish? You do have to saute quite a bit, but the rest cooks itself. You can also prepare it really well in advance. You start the prep an hour or an hour and a half before the guests arrive, put the thing in the oven, and then your main course is ready. And the guests will be thrilled. See you next week, my dears. Hey, look, I hope you had fun. Take care. Bye. See you.